Welcome to the September Parks and Recs meeting. I'd like to call to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would somebody like to approve the agenda? Oh, roll call, I'm so sorry, roll call. Kate Smith here. Dennis Kapelinski.
Here.
Sharon Parkala.
Here.
John Jones.
Here.
Robert Smith.
Here.
Jennifer McConnell is absent and excused. Bridget King.
Here.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second it.
Okay,
Public comment.
discussion from the table.
Any discussion from the table?
Okay, comments from the public. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Discussion from the table. Comments from the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Presentations? None. Public hearing? Nothing. Should I call for public comment then if there's nothing on there?
No, I think it's just a note.
Okay, if there is something on there, call for it.
Yeah.
Because it's at the end, okay. Okay, moving on to items for consideration. Old business is up first.
All right, I did pass out just an update at last night's council meeting. The fees that were discussed 2 weeks ago with you all did get approved. So what you have is the fee schedule updates that will be, that have been approved, that will be going into that formal fee schedule that ultimately ties into the budget. So I just wanted to share this final copy.
Did council have any thoughts about it?
They did, they had some questions about.
I have not watched, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I have not watched it yet.
Okay, they did have some good questions about rates on the card room, just clarification on if it was party packages or by hour. I mean, as you all know, it was a rather complicated chart, not the easiest to look at. We are, after this, we're going to be moving forward and looking at the nonprofit packages and how we're going to do that in the community space. So we want to offer for free. So there are some questions about that. Trying to think of what else. I think there's a lot of excitement in the community. People are interested to, try and rent some of these to host parties. And I think there's a pretty good variety of ways to, find really affordable options, and then as we talked, if you want to upgrade and have some more convenience, you can move to those party packages. But we're excited to implement. I think we have 2 calls already on the movie theater, so we're excited. And really the first year we're going to be evaluating the feedback, what the demand is like, to gauge, like, is the pricing good? Is it super busy? Is it a lot on the staff? Those sort of things. So we'll just have to see and report back.
Yeah, make a baseline.
Currently, I'd say the movie theater is probably at $75 an hour. It depends on how many people are there. That could wash out to be a good deal with because I hear people say that go to a movie, get a ticket, get a popcorn, it's $20.
Yep.
Well, if it's $20 for that and you're charging $75 an hour, that's a pretty good deal.
We're not going to have new releases, just, to be clear. We won't have.
No, I got you. No.
Theater.
But it is a really unique room.
Have a set of movies already that are available that we can,
I'm sorry?
is there a set movies that we have now that can be watched, or?
Right now, when you rent it, it'll be on your own to bring your DVD. There is complex licensing for us. There's a a date where if movies were made before then, they're free to the public. But a lot of the new releases, you have to have a licensing. So the private rental is really the easiest way for us to manage that right now.
So what happens like with a Netflix or something like that? Is that building able to have like a
if a private
Netflix?
rental comes in and tries that?
No, like that building has a Netflix account, and then people, if they wanted to
No, you
watch a
cannot
movie.
do that.
Okay.
Netflix doesn't like that.
You can't do it because Netflix
Well, the
doesn't like
building
it?
is not going to have a Netflix account.
Okay.
I don't know, I honestly don't know if a private person comes in and tries to move their Netflix there, I don't know if that would work or not. I think we'll find all these things out.
I think people are going to try.
Actually, they will.
You know, they'll bring their Prime account or their Netflix account.
Yeah. So we don't
They'll
have-
figure it out.
Yeah,
Password.
we'll probably learn a lot in the next year. So,
Okay, any comments or questions about party room rentals? Okay, moving on to park volunteer events.
all right, I did also pass out the flyer. So last meeting, we talked about a couple of events, working with the Rotary Club, and then I took that great advice and I reached out to Tipton for the Florence Park Workday and their junior high honor society, is that NJHS group, is interested in volunteering and helping after school, so that's why this date, the Tuesday, October 15th. In the flyer, this is a draft. I wanted to get input from the Parks and Rec Commission. You know, I don't know if we want to add like the Rotary's logo on here or acknowledge Tipton. I don't know exactly how many from each group will be hosting those. So Parks and Rec is kind of saying, well, we're going to host them. We're trying to get our groups engaged. You know, I know the Rotary Club's going to have 3 members, I think, for their workday, but we're going to try to get this out to the schools this week, to the high school and the junior high for the volunteer groups, or their honor society kids who are often looking for volunteer hours. And then we'll, obviously, the Rotary Club, the Tipton Academy, and then we're also working on lawn signs, kind of like the ones we put out for the park bond, that we can put on site to let people know a workday's coming, please join us.
Yeah, the residents for sure, hopefully they can.
So it's kind of a trial, but I am going to get the wood chips delivered. So we'll have some staff there. I mean, even if we have 5 or 6 people, the hope is to weed and spread the wood chips to get the surfacing up. But I know at Rotary, we have some painting tasks. You know, if we have a lot of people, we could do some brush cutting along the,
Florence needs it, that sidewalk.
yeah. And then, the other one, in Florence Park, primarily, again, the playground, So, any discussion, anybody, who's our Rotary in Florence Park captains? And
Rotary.
Are you going to be there?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Bring a friend.
Bring the kids.
All the kids.
So hopefully, and we'll, you know, as far as weather, we'll just have to keep our eye. October can be beautiful and it can be nasty, so we'll just play it by ear, but that's the plan.
This is great.
We're gonna cut some things. Do I need to bring a weed whacker if I do?
I was thinking more like loppers and overgrown brush, but
Are we sure DPS have that stuff that they could?
yeah, you know, that's on my list to confirm what they have available.
And if
'cause I
they
have
can
not
let
done
us
that yet.
borrow it.
Or that's the catch.
What's that?
If they can let us borrow it.
If we can borrow it. Oh, you
A
mean
lot
like
of it
power
is
tools?
small, so
We're probably not going to do power tools, but usually like clippers and
Right.
things would be okay.
Like a lot of weed trees, so it's small, you know,
Yes,
little
weed trees,
branches.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So we'll see how it goes, and if this is successful, the plan is to hit up the other 5 parks in next spring, or summer, or fall. Get 'em.
It's kind of like the pilot program.
It is, it is. So,
Any other comments or questions? Okay, moving on to new business. The Parks and Recs budget, ice rink focus.
so we're going to have Mike come on up. It's
been so long, Mike.
This is a
on down.
follow-up to our dive into the budget. So again, this is just looking at the ice rink, our revenue section, and the expenditure section. There's no, updates current to date. This is just going over the line items and reviewing what those items are. So below the revenue on the first page, you're looking at, sort of a sentence of description. I mean, what's nice about the ice rink budget is it's pretty descriptive, but I think there's a lot of things here that not everybody knows or thinks about as far as what groups are renting. So I don't know if Mike was fine if you wanted to ask questions. I don't know if you want him to go over each line. Any preference from the commission?
I'd say, can we just have a couple minutes to look it over, and then if we have a question, we can reach out to Mike and ask him about it.
Yeah.
How did putting the ice back in go?
It went very smooth.
Good.
Very smooth. We had skatable ice in, I think, 5 days after painting. It was
Looks
very
really nice.
quick.
I was in there and it looks nice.
Did you put concessions on here?
Yeah, it's the fourth one down, fourth one from the bottom.
Oh, I see.
So I have a question. On the ice rink advertising, we have a budget of $4,500 and we've only spent $2,000 so far this year. Is that correct?
No, so this is revenue.
Oh, okay.
This is revenue.
And remember, there's no actuals in this. This
Right.
is the proposed or the approved budget without any, this isn't the quarterly report yet. This is just familiarizing with the items, and it's showing last year's amended budget, the end of last year's budget, and our current budget.
Okay, so I'll rephrase that question. So on the ice rink advertising, we need to bring in $4,500 and we've only brought in $2,000.
That's last year, though.
That's
Last year, yes,
Right.
that is true, though.
Well, because it says 2023 and 2024.
June.
Yeah, the
That's
first
because the
line
fiscal
is
year,
Okay,
what's that
gotcha.
how it
year?
runs.
So you're right, there was a
We
projection
did
of
miss the budget.
4,500.
Okay, so we did miss it.
2000.
Was.
And what do you want to share about the revenue projections? This was something I just learned.
So this year we should be closer. We did change our projections a little bit to more realistic. We looked back on previous years and actually made it to where we believe we should hit, if not definitely exceed. And that's always what we're planning on trying to do.
Yeah, but your budget's $4,500 again.
Yeah, I have.
The same budget as it was the previous year.
We're really trying to push the reconnect, the boards at the ice rink, and items like that. We're
And this
really
past
starting
year,
to
you
push.
kind of did double duty. I feel like you
Okay.
were doing 2 jobs, so now you can focus on this more.
Yep.
Now,
Do you have all kinds of ideas?
I'm sorry?
Sports venue pay each year.
Yeah, so I have a contract with them. I actually have to take it to them, have them sign it, because their contract is up. So they're one of the ones that we would be getting even more revenue from after they sign the contract.
Do you have like an advertisement?
Yep, I actually just finished it yesterday.
Okay.
So, and I just posted it online. There's still little tweaks that I have to do to add numbers. Example, like how many people walk into the ice rink, how many people would see your advertisement that way. But pricing and all that is on the website right now.
That's helpful. You know, you can get people to spread that for you then too, to help out. Anything else?
Comments?
Questions for Mike? Comments?
And I do know we just did pick up 3 brand-new board advertisements in this past year. They were actually just installed about 2 weeks ago, and we already got payment for those.
So we lost the senior hockey then, I take it, because it says we took in nothing and we're budgeting nothing
So
in 2024,
the
2025.
senior hockey was a league that the city actually ran. We ended up getting rid of it due to the Hockey Association getting bigger. So the youth hockey kind of took over for that. This year, youth hockey was a little bit smaller. We actually brought in a different senior league. It's the Western Wayne Hockey League. It took over the exact same number of hours. So instead of there being the senior hockey league, all that money is actually going to go into the ice rental prime.
Do you have LED light bulbs?
So we're starting to make that transition. I've been working with DPS. We have brand new light fixtures with LEDs for the entire locker rooms. I actually got with DTE trying to get on their rebate program to transfer all the lights over top of the ice rink to get all those to LEDs and see if we can get a rebate on those.
Yeah, that would help to cut costs for sure.
You looking at the electric, is that what you're?
Yeah, I went to the next page. I was looking at expenditures.
We tried to do that a long time ago, and we just missed every time we went to DTE, we missed the boat. Either the money had already been spent or the program had ended. Because we tried to get for the baseball diamonds and stuff like that, because we figured that was the biggest cost at the time, was the baseball diamonds. So hopefully we can catch them when they got money or rebates.
Okay, any other questions or comments regarding anything about the budget and the ice arena? Okay, ready to move on?
Public?
I don't know, I feel like Mike had a spiel for us, so we didn't let him give his spiel.
I'm sorry?
I said, it feels like you had something you wanted to keep saying and, educate us.
She said we can keep rolling.
Okay. Moving on to programming feature.
Yeah, so recently, we had a request inquiring about our cupcake class and some of the fees associated with it. So I had put together a little bit of a report for our city manager, and since I had done it, I thought, well, I'm going to share it with the Parks and Rec Commission because I think it gives a good dive in to one particular class. And this being my first year and a lot of new things at Radcliffe, I think it's important that we really do have a deep dive and understanding of what some of the costs are and what we're looking at as we start to evaluate the success. So this is one of our more popular classes. We have cookie, cupcake, and cake decorating classes. It's been about a year, I think, since the first one. The cost is $50 for 5 weeks, and that is a 1-hour class where there's no parents, so it's just a drop-off for the kids. And when the kids leave, well, actually, I shouldn't say kids, there's also an adult version too.
Right.
So when you leave, you get your decorated items. So depending on the class, it would be 6 cupcakes or a cake or 6 cookies. So that's each class, right? And so the question was, this seems kind of expensive. So let's dive in to really understand, well, what are the costs? So,
People were saying that $10 a class was expensive?
$10 an hour was expensive?
yeah, well, that was some of what really, when you look at it, we might have to do some adjusting on our end.
I see that.
So the main 2 expenses are the instructor time
Yes.
and the materials. So they're broken down for you here. And to be honest, number 1 is a little bit conservative because there are times, I think, where there's more prep involved. But we credit at home. Then, of course, there's get there a half hour before the class, and some cleanup time. So for each 1-hour session, that's about 4 hours of staff time. And this particular instructor class is a $25 an hour. So for 5 sessions, that's $500 right there. And then supplies. It's not the easiest for us to go back and figure out, well, what is it per class? Because these particular items you can buy and stock up. So what I did was just take a period from March through this last session, total up all the expenses we had, divide it by the number of 1-hour classes to come up with a per
Per class expense.
class supply cost. Yes, thank you. And then we divided it by the number of participants in those classes, the average number, to come up with, or no, not, we wouldn't have, we would just have divided it by the number of participants to get the average cost, like a supply cost per student, which was around $6.50. So that's how we got to this number. So, that's what allows the students to leave with those baked goods. So when you,
So it almost sounds like we're a little short then.
yeah, so on the back page, I took
you look at
3
what was-
actual examples of
What was
class
the
size.
average class size?
I don't have that written down. So in the
No,
back, I
because
have
I see you
3
saw
examples.
646 for the average cost per student, so you had to have a number to come up with that. So I figured you had,
I do, I just don't know what it is.
Maybe like 15 or 20 kids, I think.
What's that?
Maybe 15 kids or 20?
Yeah, I think, let me
then you
see if
got to
I.
take her time, that $500 divided by the,
So let's go through the 3 examples where I take specific classes. So the most recent session had 7 students. They paid $50. There's $350 of revenue. And I think these were the numbers you were getting before. You would see the revenues like, oh, that sounds good. But when you put in the staffing cost, there's that 500, and then we actually rounded down to $6 just for ease. The total direct cost was $710. So there is a net loss of $360 to run that session. We did have 2 sessions in the spring that maxed out with 15 participants. So the revenue was higher, but then, and the staff instructor fees are the same, but then the material fees are a little more expensive. So that session, we had a net loss of $200. And then there was 1 adult class that ran with only 3 registrations, and you can imagine that that one was the least successful. So when we look at it like this, we have some takeaways. First of all, I'm thinking this is as affordable as can be offered. And number 2 is we should look at a minimum registration number to, control and reduce the net loss, because those are direct costs that usually we strive to cover. We also noted, when I was looking back, that we did a handful of one-time specialty, like holiday classes. There was a mom-daughter, a mother-son, and those were incredibly successful. And what's interesting is the fee was $12 for each person, and that was per child-parent combo. And because you had parents in there assisting, the class sizes were allowed to be bigger. So I think there were 2 classes where we had 29 and 30 in one class, and another one was lower, so it averaged out to 24 registrations. And so that class, there was a net revenue when it was all said and done. So, looking at that, we realized maybe it would be more successful. Obviously, it's more successful to focus on one-time classes. I think maybe there's less time commitment. We can get a parent-child combo, and, we don't have as big of a loss. Another item, we tried to look to see, well, what are others offering maybe similarly? And I could really only find one example, which was over at Schoolcraft. And if any of you have looked at Schoolcraft cooking classes before, they're pretty pricey. They do a one-time 2-hour cookie decorating class for $119. So that is really like, wow. And, I don't think that's what we should charge, but I think it
$50
really
an hour.
illustrates, the value of what we were or have been offering. And, our decorating instructor was trained at Schoolcraft and has that culinary background. So, I think we're really fortunate to have the quality class that we do. So, what I noted are the goals for us in managing classes and trying to sustain an operation that, we feel is successful. We want to improve our efficiency so that we can provide unique and desired recreation activities that are both affordable and meet the direct costs. That's really what we want to do. And part of this is to get a handle on what food programming costs are like, as we're doing the preliminary steps for the teaching kitchen. We really need to have some kind of concept of how to manage food programming, because, what we're noticing is food doesn't have a long shelf life, and there's a lot of costs in the prepping and the expense of the classes. So this is something that we really need to get an idea of what sort of things can we do that can be affordable, that are meeting the expectations of what either our council is setting for us or city manager as far as what our goals are when we're offering the services and programs that we do. The last goal is to offer classes that are popular and affordable, but ensure that we're being responsible, and thoughtful in how we budget and fund. So often, you're not going to hear me talk about how much money we made or our profits. We have revenues, we have expenses, and we are part of a, government city services that are constantly weighing like the value of our programs to the community, and we take the feedback from our city council as far as what they're comfortable with. So if we get directive like, oh, you need to, make all your costs, then we do that, then we strive for that. But there's a lot of programs that aren't going to do that, and it doesn't mean that they're horrific. They just maybe have different values or goals assigned to it. So those are the things that we're thinking about and looking at. One particular class, I just wanted to highlight that process and show you all what we're trying to consider, with all of the classes, and look at them a little deeper, as these are often new, and we're still learning about the operating cost at Radcliffe. So I'll stop with that and ask, or to see if you have questions or comments.
Do you think go ahead.
You're saying that people who register for this class thought that the $10 a class was expensive, or?
Well, we did get some questions like, couldn't it be cheaper? So we're both having to explain the expenses, and then we have to explain, what we have a loss. So it's, I think it's a good exercise in
Not sure
understanding.
if you can go to the grocery store and buy
That's what I was going to say.
6 cupcakes already decorated for $10.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your kids get to actually have fun and learn how
And
to do
usually
it.
that cupcake could be $10 for one
Yeah.
cupcake, so.
And I've seen
I
pictures of
think the
some of
thing
these
is, and like you said, I think we're back to where we wanted to be a long time ago, was we said, we don't ever want to make money off of these things. We just want to break even.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose money, we want to break even. And like you said, set a limit of, if it's got to be 25 kids, maybe we need to do more marketing with the schools and figure out how to get to that span, and maybe have a longer window of being able to sign up for it, so you can get that amount of kids, whether it be 25 or whatever the magic number is.
Did we try to calculate how much the class needs to be for, say, we get a minimum of 15 kids, to break even?
Well, they had a $200 loss with 15 kids, so you would have had to take
Yeah, so
that
what we
15 over
learned is
200.
right now, our minimum doesn't, the way it is,
But it needs to be
meet
more
those
like maybe
costs. So-
$60 to $70
But
for
we've
that.
talked, and our instructor has a lot of insight too, and I think we do have a lot of ideas for the one-time classes, because 5 weeks is a big commitment, and, for people's busy schedules, doesn't always work. So I think we'll play around with that, maybe shorten them. But I think what we haven't done is have minimums, because, there are things where you're trying to get the interest going, and, we're still trying to learn, because we didn't know what.
Everything at Radcliffe's new, right, within the
and
past year.
entirely
so,
new. You don't always
yeah.
know what the material costs are, how they add up. So, it's just part of the learning process. But now, once we learn, okay, well, we need where can we clean up better?
So on your $200 loss over 15 kids, you would have had to charge $23 per kid. If people thought $10 was bad, they'd really go freak out when you said $23. But I think sometimes if you have transparency and you say to them, they might say, well, why does that person have to get $25? Well, because that's what that person deserves to get, is $25 for teaching that class for that hour time.
Oh, you're talking
And then with your, because you can't cut that cost you can't cut. That's a set cost, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got your cost in the stores, which constantly go up, and if people don't understand that groceries are going up,
Yeah.
shame on them.
Yeah.
That's their fault, not ours.
Yeah. And I mean, we are exploring different instructor ways to do it, because there's some classes that work well with, or in other communities, it's very common to do the 80-20 or 70-30 percentage split. So that way, the host or the department is always getting something, at least 20% of it. But often that will raise the prices up, because, the instructor then is setting that and they're deciding, well, what's worth their time. So, the advantage for this style is that it can be offered at a lower rate, but again, these are all things that we're evaluating and taking direction from, again, city manager or council.
I agree with the fact that maybe make more one-time classes, and also the fact maybe instead of 5-week classes, make them 3 or 4 week. You could do a beginners and an intermediate and still end up with the same amount of class, time, but, because it is a big commitment when you say five weeks,
I don't
especially
think
for kids.
$10 is a lot, but 50,
Right.
even though you're getting more weeks, you have to pay that up front, but you can see here that people are fine paying the 12
Yeah.
for a specialty class.
Well, basically, they're paying 24, right? Because they're paying 12 for the adult and 12 for the child.
Yeah, that's right.
Or was the mother-daughter one?
So yeah, I would say focus on that if that's
I did the
Yeah.
mother's
what
son one
residents
with my
are
grandson.
comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I think 10 is very cheap, even, compared to
Yeah.
the Schoolcraft. That
Yeah,
is,
for sure. So,
Do we get a lot of
15 would
adults
be,
that
agreed.
sign up
I mean,
for
it's
this?
something
do we get a lot
I
of?
definitely
Right, for the
wanted- I
one
wanted-
time?
I know, I was going to do
Yeah,
it.
the adults, there was an adult class in the
to go.
spring, and I didn't bring all of my notes, I should have brought that with my calculation folder, where the adult class sold out, or had 15, so they filled, which is great, because that's often a group we don't have a lot of, so.
Right, I was thinking that.
But it could be popular in the spring, and then it was not as popular, I think, at the end of summer. So again, just kind of learning, and maybe that's where we have a minimum. We say, we're gonna not run this, but we're gonna try it in October and just see, and maybe it's 3 sessions or something. So I think that's just adapt.
What if you make them buy the supplies and tell them the supply list for the class?
I don't know,
Well, I don't know.
parents feel about that?
I think that a lot of the supplies were purchased at the beginning of the classes, like the tips for your decorating. She's got them all now.
Yeah, this is-
Those were
There's some
expenses at the
costs that-
beginning, so some of those
Yeah.
costs won't show up again.
Yeah, and some
No,
of
but I'm
them,
thinking
I
like the
mean,
cake
last,
mixes
I
and
know
stuff like
if you
that.
saw the
If each
photo-
kid needs so many boxes of
But
cake
see, the
mix
cake-
per class or
Cake has to be
whatever.
made before class, because there's no place to bake it at the school.
Right, the instructor makes the
Bakes them the
cakes
night
and brings
before,
them.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
After-
maybe when the teaching kitchen is there, the class could have the first class, you bake it,
Right.
and then maybe it's a 2-day thing, one day this and one day, so there's a lot of options.
That might justify a price increase too. If you're saying, okay, you get to bake it now, and, you're offering more with the kitchen.
So again, it's just one example of, how we're going to evaluate and consider and adapt.
But no, I mean, we
I
gotta,
think as long as you're
We gotta
breaking
look
it
into
down
it,
and you
know
can
what we're
show
doing.
people where you're at, I think that's the perfect thing to do right there. Because you can show them, hey, look, we lost $200 on 15 kids. We can't stay in business and keep doing this if we're losing money on every class. And neither
Well,
could they.
we could. I mean,
Okay, any other questions or comments? Are you going to do more of these programs?
do you like these?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, I think so. I mean, these again are the exercises that,
I think it helps to know
we're doing
what
with staff.
what sells, what doesn't, where
Yeah.
do we need to pivot?
Advertising at schools?
do we advertise in schools? Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think I mean, we did just start our part-time marketing assistant, who just started Friday, I guess. So we're really excited to have more help with getting word out to the schools and in general.
So I'm sure they still have the same type of program, and I don't remember what it was called. When my son was in high school and stuff like that, they had the email system that would send you emails.
Yeah, like the newsletter blasts.
The whole thing is here to all the families.
Yeah.
Instead of giving the kids a paper flyer, which we know maybe 10% of them are going to get home and the other 90 are going to stay in the backpack or get thrown in the trash.
Or maybe you guys could start, and more residents could sign up for it if they want to.
Yes.
Another
We
thing to
just
do.
started, we have started this, if you're in Sportsman, hopefully you've been getting the monthly emails.
I'll have to
Have
check.
you all? None of you?
I'm in there, but.
You
I
haven't
don't-
got one?
Yep.
Oh, you have, okay. So we're working on updating a newsletter to do a monthly communication. So that, I mean, there's a lot of work that we can do to improve getting information out.
Did you all receive the Rec Connect in the mail? Slightly
No.
off
Yes.
the-
No,
I did not.
You didn't get the Rec Connect?
Did you?
I had to pick it up at the center.
did?
At Radcliffe.
So everybody but Sharon?
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I think I got two.
I'm always curious to
Will
know
you
how
let
many
me know
residents
when
get
you
it.
do?
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming you're going to. Sure hope.
I would have thought she would have already had that, because how long ago did that come? A week ago?
Last week.
Yeah, at least last week
it
sometime.
got.
Say a week ago?
At least.
And Sharon, you don't live that far from me, so if
No.
I got it, I'm surprised you don't have it too.
I don't.
You guys get Rec Connects? Did you? Did your house?
That's why I
Okay.
got two. I got Sharon.
I'll check with some of my neighbors, see if they got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Mailman's fault.
Okay, anything else about program feature? Okay, other business, none?
You all have something?
No.
Okay, public comment? None? Okay. Report from Parks and Rec Director.
Well, I passed out a report. I did a similar report for city council, so I just take some of the info and updated it to keep you all informed. I mean, we met just a couple weeks ago, so there's not a whole lot there, but I did highlight about a month of upcoming events. Or no, is that in the agenda? Should I wait for that? Well, anyway, on the second page is an update on ARPA. We are supposed to be getting our first, that 1.2 million check. Well, it's going to be an electronic transfer on October 2nd. That's the most current update. So we still haven't actually gotten any money, but I've been told October 2nd. And then we have submitted that second request and just waiting for that to work through the process. You all know the roof has started, and it's very exciting. A lot of stuff's happening. There was a tree that had to come down as well, so a lot of activity at Radcliffe. And then, of course, waiting for October 1st to start on some of the other projects to have that full renovation started again. So I'm not going to read through all this, I just wanted you to have it. So on that page is, kind of walks you through it. On the back page of that is a recap of that original budget and the current budget we're working from. So again, everything that's spent for the grant needs to qualify and fall into one of these project scope areas. So that's what all that is. You know, as we anticipate the roof wrapping up, hopefully the end of October. We're going to have about 1.1 million left to finish an assortment of those projects that are outlined. So, you know, staff, we're all thinking about what are the most essential things that we need to complete and really optimize those funds for the future, because we know when the money is gone, there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunity for much of anything over at Radcliffe for the short term. So we're just trying to be thoughtful and develop a plan for what are really 8 large projects to complete in a year. So that's what the next page is, kind of an outline of the Radcliffe projects. If you have questions.
So you've submitted 2 million to be reimbursed. So you have 2 million for these projects?
Yep, so, yep, there's about 2 million, but we've already committed almost another million to the remainder of the roof and some of the other construction projects that got their deposit. So they're kind of accounted for.
About 1, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
So some things have commitment to it, other things have to have further development of the budget and the costs. So like the teaching kitchen, we're still working on, the equipment budget, but we're really, so I think, I can't even remember 2 weeks ago if we had the consultant lined up. Did I talk about that? A teaching kitchen consultant? No, okay, so since then.
Maybe.
A woman who manages the Plymouth, I think that's called the Proud Mitten Culinary Concepts. So I've talked to her a few times, and we're going to meet with her and get some advice on, do we need sinks at all the stations? What's the most essential? We really just need some expertise before we start building things. And then
Follow
we're
all
like,
those
why would we do
cottage food laws and whatnot.
Yes, so we're hoping that after a meeting or two with that individual, we'll really be able to focus on, okay, here's our essentials, here's our next steps, to move forward on that and to work within a budget, because it really looks like you could go bonkers on a kitchen, as you can imagine. There's a lot of upgrades and things, but we want to, again, stay focused on what are we trying to accomplish. We want a facility that can mimic a home kitchen, that can offer a variety of classes, but we're not going to be training chefs.
Yeah, right, culinary.
It's just not a realistic goal. So keeping those things in mind for that. Yeah, any other questions?
On that gymnasium, I thought they got money for that, for the gymnasium, the renovation. No.
So, you mean the addition?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that just fell off because the roof took priority and HVAC were too essential. So instead,
Because
we
that
have-
extension was what, 2 million?
Oh, it was
The addition was-
4.5.
was it 4.5?
It was all of HUD, and it was 2 million from ARPA. So there's just not possible. So what we have really, auditorium to make it work as a gym. So there's a lot of theater elements now, like the lights are very, I don't know, they're delicate, and if a ball hits it, they're super expensive, things like dodgeball. So we're looking at changing out some of the lights, bringing in more ability to have the gym activities, but keeping the stage and keeping the stage lights that are area, but removing the audio box, which is, if you're familiar with the auditorium, is in the back of at the opposite side of the stage. And it impedes in the gym space quite a lot.
So is there some type of cage they can put over those lights so the light isn't actually getting,
Yeah,
whether it's a
well-
cage that extends down around the bulb or if it's just a flat cage that screws into the ceiling?
There's something else important about it that I can't quite recall that's just not ideal.
I know a lot of
And I'm
time
not
cages
sure-
aren't cosmetically pleasing, but
I know they're very expensive, and we just aren't using for theater. We don't have a theater program right now.
okay.
So all of that is still in, discussion. The goal is to improve, using it as a multipurpose room, and getting some maybe portable basketball, improving some of the storage and that sort of stuff.
And you're going to start the front desk next week?
Yep. So we'll see what, if we have to change the entrance. I think
Right.
our contractor is hoping to be able to leave the main entrance, and it might be a little narrow for a while he's working on that project there. Yeah, any other question?
Did we get the carpets and that for that one kid area? I forget what that room's called.
The what?
Where
Imagination
the
Station.
imagination, you're supposed to get carpet that was specific to the room.
Oh, yeah, the carpet's been ordered.
Okay.
Yep, that was ordered, and it just had a long, order
It's
Period.
the Educational Plate Museum.
That'd
Have it
be
under
cool.
there.
Parents and kids.
Anything else?
This is great. Thank you for all this information.
You got
Been a
something
long
else,
time
Scott?
coming.
Yeah. What about that patio grill and furnishing? They're gonna get that now.
Yeah. You know, it's just a matter of time. It's like one thing at a time, but really, we're waiting till October where we have the total clear to spend and continue. So, you know, and what I've been doing is just trying to get an idea of those really big ticket items and prioritizing just these other things that take a long time. But we are excited about the patio areas. We'd like to add some seating area in the patio and then in the courtyard and the grills and that. So I don't know if those will happen in the fall or the spring. And
Will that become a rental then?
yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. I think those are going to be really fantastic spaces. And then for the community room, which is one of the kind of miscellaneous rooms, what we'd like to do is get a lot of the nonprofit groups. I know Zach, and I think maybe Kim has been working on connecting all of the nonprofits in the community and the city. I'd love to have them over at Radcliffe and go in that space and talk about a few options for how we could finish furnishing it, what it could look like, so whether we have some examples. And then the idea is that that would be a free community rental space for nonprofit groups. So if they're having a large meeting and again, depending on how we finish that room, it could be really, have a few options. So the thought is instead of me sitting around and picking out things, let's get some input from the community because that would be a true community space. So, we could do a little bit of research and get some visuals or maybe mock up a few things. So I think that will be really fun to work on.
Would that be something like an animal rescue, since it's a nonprofit?
Like to meet and use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds like there's a lot
Or maybe
of
to have like a
nonprofits, but-
fundraiser, or have a
But the idea
fundraiser
is
there?
if you're a nonprofit and a community group, you would have, and this is what we have to work out. So that's our next rental thing, is establishing, okay, is it like one free meeting a month that you can plan in advance, and then if it's open, you can use it? So those are details we want to figure out, and we have to be careful. We don't want to store everybody's stuff because maybe it sounds good at first, and the next thing you know, we have every nonprofit group's, closet full of things. So there's a lot we have to think through, but it's a great space, and it would be really nice to have a dedicated free space that could be both. Right now there's just a giant conference table. You've all been there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The outside place?
No, the conference room?
No.
Okay. Maybe I'll bring a photo next time, or we can meet over there to look at it. But it's just a large conference room with no chairs right now. So it's an odd space. But the original vision was to have some other seating areas. We have some extra round tables with chairs from the card room we could bring in. We could put like a couch area. But again, that's where I'd like input, and just to maybe propose things and have, the community groups have a chance to.
I love that, pulling all their resources to work together.
Yeah, so.
And then when you need parks cleaned, you have those community people come and volunteer and help you because you gave them the rooms
Yeah.
for free.
Well, again, our goal is to provide those kind of spaces for the community and to build. I think maybe the next meeting we'll talk more about, but we are discussing with the staff a branding, a different name than Radcliffe. So some of the thoughts are a few options, and then maybe the community could vote. So if you all have any ideas, we have a few that we're kind of playing around with.
Can you share them?
Yeah, well, one of them, the one I like, the REC, which would stand for Recreation, Enrichment, and Community, could maybe just do something fun with that. I think there was something like the Cliff, playing on Radcliffe, but I think we would need a climbing wall. That's what somebody had said. There's, trying to think about the hub, I think that was an earlier suggestion. So if you have any ideas,
Maybe you should put it on Facebook and see what the residents
well,
can
that's
come up
what
with.
we're going to try to do, is get 3 or 4 ideas and then let the community vote. So that's exactly what we're thinking. Let's put it on Facebook and see.
What about letting the community come up with something?
Or you could have
And like,
community choice
You have
option.
like young kids that are really good at designing stuff. They even come up with like a logo for you.
Yeah, it could be good, or it could be like crickets, you know, you have to be careful. Sometimes I have found if you don't give people something to react to, sometimes you get nothing. But we could certainly test that water. You know, I have a junior volunteer meeting next week. I'll see if they have any ideas. If you all think of something, you know, I don't want to overthink it.
Yeah.
But we would like to rebrand it as we, you know, especially with the grants, because there's a lot of signage we need when we're done, like wayfinding outside, inside. We could use the grant to get some apparel with with the logo, you know, the rugs or whatever, to brand it a little bit and just have an identity. So stuff to think about. But if you get a great idea, write it down or email it to me.
Is this list how you,
What about the palace?
Palace of Garden City?
Yeah.
That's pretty
What about
funny.
that?
Do you remember what the Auburn Hills, they put that out to vote back in the day? That's what came up. That's pretty funny.
that's how they pick the name?
Palace.
Of Garden City.
Is this list you prioritizing? Like the roof, then the Imagination Station?
No, I don't think that was, let me look at it. Not necessarily, no.
I think
I think this
bathroom,
was me, it started off as me trying to track, like, oh my gosh, there's all these like major projects.
I think
Then I think
bathrooms,
the
you know.
ADA, did I talk about, I think last time I talked about the CDBG grant?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay, we did cover that one. So that, I did submit a new project proposal. I'm waiting for them to get back to me on whether that's approved, and that's for the bathroom construction. So we would go out to have a design firm help us with that. So.
All right.
And then the last page is just a recap on the grant, so I won't go over that, but you all have been keeping up with those, so.
Now, is one of these grants that's on here, what was the one that Doc and Mark were working on just before Doc was leaving with either?
The big one with
the
Senator Peters?
Yeah, with Senator
Yeah,
Peters.
that's number 9. So I have looked into that a few times. I mean, and when I say looked into it, I just get online and get into those congressional, like, there's a webpage, well, there's a link here that you can't get to on
Because
paper, but.
that one can take care of a lot of problems if we get what they talked about.
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem was it might have been too big of an ask, because if I remember right, it was like 13 million, wasn't it? Does anybody remember?
Well,
It was larger than the bond, I know that.
the reason they asked for more is because they were hoping to ask for more and get less.
Yeah, so when I looked for this, I did not see it. You can see all the projects that got moved on. Ours is not there. And when you look at all the other projects, none of them are, you know, that level of that
So
price.
maybe somebody needs to reach out to, I would imagine, Mark and ask him where it's at.
Yeah. And
Okay,
do
then I
think,
guess we need to
we
reach
have-
out to the city manager and ask him where we're at with that process
If it's not even listed.
with Senator Peters, because if it's not on there.
So remember, a lot of times you can ask for things.
Do what?
Yeah, he didn't. So it never made it to the next step, right?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that we weren't supposed to follow up with him, and maybe that's why it didn't make it to the next step, because he got busy with other things, and
And then they make choices and decisions. And so this project did not make it to the next step in this year. It doesn't mean that it can't be revised and come back again. No, there's many, many projects from Senators, has a lot of congressional appropriations that, you know, look at. So.
I like that you applied for a tree grant.
Yeah, I'm expecting we'll hear something by the end of October. that would be great.
And just waiting on the one above it as well, the Community Project Fund.
Yeah, so that one has moved along and is an identical fund or grant as the current HUD, the one that requires that environmental review.
Oh, okay.
So what's kind of nice is I could see where it was at, and it's exactly as how the grant we did get, is it made it through the committee work. It just got chopped down in what the amount was. So the ask was 3.5 million, and I can see it has 500,000 right now. So it still has to go to, has to go to the president's desk, I guess.
So does Moeller need an environmental study then?
It will.
Okay.
It will, for
can
that
receive
funding
it?
source, yeah. But the good thing is, I know what to do.
You're right, you're doing it right now, so.
And I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any asbestos there either, but it will need the archaeological study, but, and there's a lot, there's definitely a lot to be done there, the fence, the fields. So fingers crossed.
So does that mean if we ever apply for that grant again, we ask for 7 million, so it gets chopped down to $1
I
million?
don't think it works like that.
No, then they just say no.
I don't think so. I think the more your project, is, I don't know, there's a lot of asks that come at these different Congress people. So, I don't know, as I've looked at them to see what other people are asking for, some of them are just more specific. I think when you're asking for, we want to upgrade everything, it maybe doesn't go as far. So I think what we can do is focus on getting our priorities, identifying what we really need next. I know, I think the bathrooms at City Park is one where if we can do a little legwork on that and get that primed for a potential ask for a grant, things like that, we're really identifying our needs. The ice rink, there's some operational updates for that. But, the good thing is there's a lot of, currently there's still those grants out there, so just keep doing stuff on our end.
Any other questions or comments regarding the grant recaps? Okay. Upcoming events, programs. Erica, would you want to run through them quickly, or?
Anybody else want to?
There's a lot of them. Would the co-chair like to?
You know what I'd say? Why doesn't everybody read it, and if you got a question,
That's right.
please ask.
For the public.
Oh, well, the public has a copy too,
Well, you know what,
right?
make sure it's mentioned, because I forgot on the agenda the
skip the
skate park
first
event, which is October 6th. I put it in my director's update, but I forgot it on the agenda. So there is, there's a couple,
So an up-and-coming event, we're missing one?
yeah, on the agenda.
It seems like the family night out is going fairly well, isn't it?
Parents'
I mean,
night out.
I'm sorry, the parents' night out.
Parents'
Both
night
sell
out was
out a lot.
successful on Friday. I will say, coming up this Friday, we have the family night, which is our first family night, and we have a movie that's an outdoor movie. So if you remember, the August movie got canceled, so we rescheduled it. It'll be at Radcliffe, but if the weather's nice, it'll be outside. And then before that, we have The Magician doing a special show and a class, so that's a separate sign-up. And then the building is open for families to come and do the game room, spaceport. You can buy a pizza, or it's $5 a person for that, and I think it includes pizza. I should probably.
Oh, yeah, pizza and fun inside Radcliffe, $5.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Now, do you think on the parents' night out, since it's only offered once a month, if it keeps selling out, do you think it would be something that they would go to like every other week? Has that been a consideration or not?
I think sometimes we have other, we have the family night the next Friday, so I think sometimes it's a calendar thing, and we do have other weekend events. So I think we don't want to overdo it. Sometimes when an event is successful, if you do it too often, it kind of kills it. So we want to keep it really fun so that they look forward to it.
I'm thinking parents want to really take advantage of that one night out.
Yeah. So, but we're always open to
So the youth-
suggestions and broadening our successes.
The youth volunteer group, that is open for all children who fall in the ages of 10 to 17?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a new thing.
Yeah, this is a new thing. I'm running it October 1st, and we'll see. We get some youth involved and get them roped into volunteering and just getting engaged and, potentially, I love a youth volunteer program because it can build them, they can become staff in a few years, right? There's no better first job than a Parks and Recreation job.
Bonus one there is. Okay.
So lots going on.
Any other comments or questions about any of the upcoming events or programs? I love that Trunk or Treat is coming back.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, and I saw
huge.
that EBB has raised money to support, I think, like 100 kids.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was doing a thing on her Facebook, so that's awesome.
Now, the trunk or treat, does it work like anybody can show up as long as they pass candy out of there?
That is sponsored by the Community Coalition, so I just put it on there because it is at Radcliffe. I know Parks is going to have a trunk. Rack is part of Community Coalition and is organizing that. So there is a website. I can share that with you if you want more information about how it works, because I haven't been to it yet, and I know he just sent out some information, but I don't want to speak to it because I don't.
Has taken it on the, different groups in Facebook and that. There's like a code you can sign up, because they are doing it like that first couple of years. It got huge.
I think you should, even
So
if
they're
it's just a
trying,
small little
they're just trying to
something.
make it more. than-
You need a head count
With
for
that
sure.
fee, I think part of the money will go back towards like extra candy to support it, but they're also taking donations of candy, I believe at Radcliffe too, right?
Yep.
Oh, one other thing that I wanted to mention is the school. So the middle school, I think you all know they're building a new football field where the old one was. So that just started last week. They're starting that whole process, and it's really exciting because that's in our backyard, right? And so there's a lot of activity between the roof and our contractors and what's starting over there. They're going to have a staging area in the south parking lot.
Well, they
So-
just did the tennis courts and
Yeah, and the
pickleball
pickleball
courts.
Yeah.
Are those
and
done over
So
there
it's
yet?
The city can
They
use
are,
them.
I don't know if, I haven't seen anybody on them yet. But
Yeah, my
you
son's
seen-
been there.
I heard, yeah.
So it is really exciting. I mean, I think that's going to be a cool destination, and, we're right in the middle of it, so it's nice.
That'd be cool to work together, and fill those places
Well,
up.
and I think I noted somewhere, we're working with the schools with their esports program. So they've got a high school team that they play in the spring, and they have a club team, and the middle school is trying to get a team going. I'm not quite sure if they've got a team or not, but they have a club team. So some of the staff reached out and have been coordinating, and so the high school, we've had some teachers coming and looking at the room, and so that's really exciting and a good way to build our partnership. We want to see it used. They bring the staff and the supervision, so.
Was there somebody from Divine Child that was supposed to help us out with that?
Yep, there's another individual who, from Divine Child, I think they have an esports team, and I know in the spring, they were at the opening. You probably know more than I do.
I don't.
And demoed that. I didn't have any contact info over the summer, but I actually just got in touch with him, so we'll see if there's opportunities for them to also utilize.
It sounded like he was going to help us out with our program, and then he was going to try and bring events to ours where his school was playing somebody else or whatever, because he liked us, the way we were set up. And I don't think Divine Child has an esports room set up.
Yeah, I mean, we have an amazing room. I think we had an esports part-time position ready to go, but with kind of the tightness of the budget, couldn't get, ability to move forward with that. So we don't have someone there to coordinate, which is sort of challenging, but us going to the schools is the best next thing, because they have teams already, they have coaches. So hopefully we'll, get them in there, at least using the room. But we interviewed a young man who does esports coordinating at Washtenaw Community College, and it was really exciting. You know, this is a growing sport for sure, and there are more and more jobs for young people to do this, and it's just kind of fun to see that and know, like, we have something special here. We just kind of got to get it going and figure out how to manage it with what we have to work with, you know.
Rumor was this could be an Olympic event one year.
Yeah, I could see that. No. So it's a foreign world for me, and the IT demands and the, you know, this is what Zach loves down there if he's listening. You know, but it's a lot of technology and
AI.
yeah. So maybe we'll hire an AI person.
Not my career field, so.
Last event, dog Halloween. I'm excited about this one.
I am too.
It's
I'm
a new
already
one,
signed
so
up.
I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, you're excited?
I am.
That this is a
You know I'm
new,
excited.
we're trying this, so we're gonna obviously,
If Mike
we're
can
trying
listen,
it
we
in the
probably need dog
courtyard.
bags at the park.
What's that?
I said, if Mike's listening, we need dog bags at the park.
Dog bags at the park. Noted.
So,
You're separating large and
the
small.
big dogs,
yeah.
different time than the small dogs. So,
All right, any other comments or questions regarding programs?
No.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Do we need
Any
to,
public comment? No? Okay, moving on to commissioner comments. Sharon, would you like to start us off?
I actually don't have anything to say tonight.
that's fine.
Anything?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either.
I think I'm good tonight again. I think I got all my questions answered already.
I have nothing.
Well, I want to comment about the new fence on Heavy Rough. I'm really amazed. It looks good, very good. And also, as I looked over the program, you got a very important date missing in October 27th.
Robert's birthday.
Exactly. Exactly.
let me add that to my paper.
You better add that to the paper. You missed Robert's birthday.
What do we do on
You
your
remember
birthday,
that,
Robert?
John? That's right.
Well, it's close to Halloween.
Very funny. You know, I won't be here though anyway. Yeah,
We have to do something before or after.
right. I'll be
You're not going to be here for the
the
29th?
27th. The 27th.
Right, okay, but our meeting's on the 29th.
Oh, yeah, I'll be here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She might bring you a cupcake from the cupcake class.
Yeah, bring me a
I don't
cup.
know if I can afford it. No, just kidding.
Put one candle in there.
That cupcake could be $25 now.
Everybody chips in $10, I can do it.
Erica, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Did I kill you with information? No, we're good?
No,
I'd
I
like
love
to-
it.
I'd like to make an motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.